What is so wrong with your child knowing that you care about them and you spent money outside of the bills and outside of everything else that you already do on them to have a good Christmas, for them to have gifts to open, for them to have all of these things and to be able to go back and share their stories and share their gifts and tell their things to their friends and have these conversations and feel good about themselves? What is so horrible about allowing your kid to know it came from you? Hey guys, this is Jules. Welcome to my second channel. I want to talk to you guys today about Santa Claus and about why I never, ever allowed my children to believe in Santa, in the Easter Bunny, in the Tooth Fairy, any of those things. Now, I will say, and some of you that are here from my true crime channel already know this, but I will say that I have tried to incorporate as many things of the worldly world into my children's lives when it comes to fun, like Christmas, Easter, birthdays, things like that, as much as possible, because I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. So during Christmas, when there was a gift exchange or the Christmas play, or for Valentine's Day parties or birthday parties in the classroom, you know how it is when you're really little, or for anything like that, I wasn't allowed to even be in the classroom. I had to go to the library and read books, or go sit in the cafeteria and do homework, or go hang out with the lunch ladies in the cafeteria and help prepare lunch. Seriously, that was my life as a child. I never wanted that for my kids, but I also don't believe in a lot of these religious things. I have my own way of viewing things, and I truly just believe that you don't need religion in order to be a good human. I've always felt like having some sort of behavior deterrent shouldn't be what makes you be a good person or not. But at the end of the day, now in 2025, and way back before we even knew how to write things down on parchment paper or etch things into stone, there was always just this lingering fear that something was going to end up happening to you in the afterlife if you did certain things here while you were a human. It didn't really stop anyone from being horrible people. Look at the past. We've always been just a honestly horrible human race. Our morals have always been out of the window. It's always a small amount of people that really sit back and be like, okay, this stuff is not all right. But unfortunately, that's not the majority. Now, I say all of that to bring it back to this. I've always believed that people were celebrating Christmas for the wrong reason. Even as a little bitty child, looking at it from the point of view of a Jehovah's Witness kid, I always felt like it was really materialistic, that it didn't have really anything to do with religion. That was how I viewed it, and I never changed that view. Growing up into a teenager, my parents getting a divorce, me living on my own, me now having kids, me now having an entire adult grown-ass kid, none of my beliefs in that stuff has ever changed. I believe there's probably a very small percentage of people that actually still treat Christmas for what, at least what I believe people really thought it originally was supposed to be, the birth of the Son of God, or whatever your religion tells you, because I know that there are some religions that believe that Jesus and God are the same. I know there are some religions that believe that Jesus really is the Son of God, and whatever you believe, it doesn't really matter in this concept, because at the end of the day, there's supposed to be some sort of importance to it. It's not supposed to be, oh, who can buy the best present? Who can get the best present? How much money can someone spend on you? Like, that kind of stuff is kind of cutesy for birthdays. To me, birthdays are more important than anything else because it's specialized to the person. As a parent, that's how I've always operated. And I've had to, really, because I have a December 9th baby, and then I have a January 16th baby, with Christmas and New Year's right smack dab in the middle. It's very, very busy. Very, 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 very busy in that time frame. So when it comes to the way that I wanted to do holidays as a parent, I always knew I was never going to do things to where they were secluded, but I never wanted to lie to them. I really never understood the concept as a child of adults telling their children about a magical creature that flies into their room in the middle of the night after they lose a tooth, that takes it without them waking up, and then puts money and then flies away. That's crazy to me. I never understood the concept of telling your children that a warm-blooded furry mammal drops eggs on the ground and somehow that's supposed to symbolize the Son of God or God as Jesus, whichever you believe, coming back from the dead. That never made any logical sense to me, and there's nowhere in any of the history that I, yes, have done my own self that makes it make any sense to me for how it all came together that way. It's asinine. Let's be so serious about it. So when it comes to Christmas, I have several issues with people telling their children, their very, very gullible children, a complete lie about some fat man who goes all the way across the planet in one 24-hour period and drops bazillions of presents down all of these chimneys, even in houses that don't have chimneys. Somehow he breaks in a millisecond, drops all these presents, eats all the cookies, drinks all the milk, stays super fat and happy, and then the reindeer magically fly him away. Little children believe these things. I don't understand why you would want to start your parenthood with your child on a lie. And some people are probably going to watch this and be like, oh my God, this is such a Karen thing. It's just fun for the kids. Is it though? Like, seriously, is it though? You're starting off telling your children a complete lie. Think back to when you were a kid and this was being said to you, how you felt whenever you realized how much your parents had told you your entire life, literally for every single holiday growing up besides like what, Valentine's Day, you're completely lied to about what it is, what it's supposed to be, who is the one who actually orchestrates things. Why do we do that? Why do we have to tell fibs to our children? I don't understand that concept. I've never lived by that concept. I've always been very honest with my children. No matter what it was, there's a way to explain things to kids in a way that is their age level and they still understand the concept and the truth. So why is it such a horrible thing for your child to believe that you spent your hard-earned money on them because you loved them and you wanted to give them something? What is so bad about that? What is so wrong with your child knowing that you care about them and you spent money outside of the bills and outside of everything else that you already do on them to have a good Christmas, for them to have gifts to open, for them to have all of these things and to be able to go back and share their stories and share their gifts and tell their things to their friends and have these conversations and feel good about themselves? What is so horrible about allowing your kid to know it came from you? From their grandparents, from their friends? Why is that something that people would rather push aside for some imaginary creature to get the recognition for something that doesn't exist to get the recognition for? On top of you letting your child believe that it's okay for just this complete mythical creature to just break into their house in the middle of the night. Let's also think about the concept here, because Santa is supposed to be the same for everyone, right? So I think back to when I was a child and I would hear after Christmas break, everyone talking about what they got for Christmas, because it was a big topic for the first day or two back from Christmas break. Not only that, but when you were younger, did you not do a little paragraph about how was your Christmas vacation? What did you do? Most of the time you were even asked to do a show and tell. This is how it was back then. So I would look around and I would see, the rich kids would always get everything they wanted, no matter how horrible they freaking behaved. And the poorer kids, the parents who didn't have a lot of money, that had kids that were well behaved, straight A's, never had an issue, would always end up with these just sad faces after listening to the things that the horribly behaved rich kids would get from Santa Claus. And how is that supposed to make a child that's gullible to the concept of Santa Claus, feel about themselves? At that young of an age, seeing that, understanding that, seeing a recognition to that, how does that make a child feel about themselves self-esteem wise when they believe that some mythical creature that's sitting there judging them felt like the horrible kid who always gets in trouble and sent to the principal's office was worth something better than the kid who always does as they are told, turns in their homework and behaves? I think of those things too when I think about the concept of Santa Claus. I've never ever wanted to lie to my children, and I knew growing up that if I ever did have kids, it would never be that way, regardless of how I ended up religion-wise or none, I always knew this would never be how it is. My kids know, and they've always known. You lose a tooth? Yeah, the tooth fairy doesn't exist, but we're going to play the game, and I'm going to give you money for pulling out your tooth, for us pulling out your tooth. Why not? And my kids have also known that it was my money that was buying them Christmas presents, that everything they got to open came from me. And again, I just don't really understand why some parents are just okay with someone else taking the responsibility in the concept of a lie. That's just me. Everyone raises their kids differently. My background's a lot different than a lot of people. I will say that. But I also try to come at things a lot differently. Because like I said, we celebrate. We do all the things. Okay. We do Valentine's stuff. We do Easter stuff. I put eggs out with candy in it, with money in it. We do the Christmas dinners. We do the Thanksgivings. We do all the things. But we are realistic. And we don't tell fibs. We don't tell fairy tales. And we don't live in non-realities. I really wish more people did that. Maybe it would be different for a lot of kids if they didn't feel like their entire childhoods were lies. Because at the end of the day, if you're not completely honest with your children, once they grow up to start realizing how the world really is, who's at fault for how they end up acclimating to that? I would rather my child have a heads up about what the reality is, even with things as small as Santa Claus. But that's, again, just me and my opinion. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments. Like, share. See y'all.